back to Campbeltown. Get me back down through Argyle. Get me there by the sunset. It's about 100 miles. With Olaf Meier on the right-hand side of me there, well, tired young music. So take me back to Campbeltown till I return once again. Saturdays were massive and our beds were seldom used. I can still hear the five voices and the Starwood dancing shoes. But Sunday it had to happen, despite all the fear and the crack. Together as Paul was giving boys, we better get to bed. Oh, take me back to Campbeltown, get me back down to Argyle. Get me there by the sunset, it's about 100 miles. With my thumb down the right to me, with tired young music mail. So take me back to Campbeltown till I return again.
Hello and welcome to the Scotch Malt Whisky Society's third virtual pub session. I'm Richard Goslan, editor of Unfiltered, and I'm delighted this evening to be joined by our SMWS ambassador extraordinaire, the one and only Olaf Meier. How are you doing, Olaf?
Thanks, Richard. I'm well, thank you. To be honest, I'm a little bit nervous. I mean, it's the first time I'm doing something like that. I used to do tastings, walking around, talking to people, see their reactions, see their faces. And here I am looking in front of a screen is strange times. But seeing the photos, I was thinking, I wanted to have a T-shirt that said, I'd rather be in Campbeltown, but unfortunately the post hasn't delivered it. So I'm on brand with Scotch Malt Whisky Society. But no, I'm delighted to be here, and hopefully we're going to have a great evening.
I'm sure we are. We've got a lot coming up. We've got some brilliant music just coming up in a second from Archie McAllister. We've got Alan Wolstenholme coming in for a chat about his family connection with Masataka Taketsuru's time learning how to make Scotch whisky when he was in Campbeltown exactly 100 years ago. So that's going to be an interesting chat with Alan. We've got our pub quiz, which is Campbeltown and Kintyre related. And of course, we're going to be drinking some of this with Iain McAlister from Glen Scotia. So quite a lot ahead of us. Tell us about that song we just heard, Olaf, because you put me onto that. I didn't know about these guys.
Well, I don't think many people know about these guys. No, because when I was told I can co-host Campbeltown, it was great for me. Because if you know my story, I've been drinking whiskey since 1983. Actually, I was 4 years old then, just in case you want to do the maths, calculating back. I came to Scotland by a friend of a friend, and we had the first night, had my first dinner. And after the dinner, this gentleman said, Olaf, you must have a dram now. And I had no idea what a dram is. Of course, it is a glass of whiskey. And that was my first glass of whiskey I ever drank in my life. In 1983, coincidentally, just when the society was formed as well, had nothing to do with each other. Many, many years later, I found out what this gentleman poured me. Back then, it was a 20-year-old Springbank, and the rest is history. Well, it took me a long time to get to Campbeltown with 1983. It was 2001. That was the first year I lived in Edinburgh with my family, and the first holiday we did was the midterm break in October. So we had a cottage down in Campbeltown for a week. We were driving down and stopped at Tarbert and had some lunch, and I found this CD in a shop, and it's from the band called Campbeltown, and that song is on it. And I just bought it back then, 2001, and just as well I bought it because this was played up and down all week, because it only rained once during that holiday, and that was 7 days solid. So,
hard to believe in the west coast of Scotland.
yeah,
Well,
no, so
it was a nice tune to start off with, Olaf, but we've got a very renowned musician waiting to give us his first set of the evening. It's Archie McAllister, who's a Campbeltown boy. Archie, born and bred, right?
Yeah, born and bred, born in Craigard in 1969.
You don't have to give us any dates.
Yeah,
up the road in Loch Gilphead now, is that right?
I'm in Loch Gilphead. I've been here just over 20 years now. Yeah, nice area.
You would have been performing at the Campbeltown Festival, I think.
Yeah, I usually perform there every year. I try to perform there every year, but if I'm playing with Skipmish, I'm elsewhere, So.
Right. Okay. Well, we'll hand it over to you, Archie, for your first set of the night. So it's all yours. Take it away.
Thanks very much. Okay, I'm going to start off with a wee slow air by Neil Gow, said to have composed this tune in 1799 during a failure of the Scottish barley crop. Highlanders were prohibited from washing barley to make whiskey. This tune laments the shortage of that and much loved part of the Highland culture. So we'll try that to start with, and then I'll probably move into a wee Campbeltown tune called Bengalian. That was a couple of tunes at the end called Cairngorm and Broach and Kerry McAllisters.
Absolutely sensational, Archie. What a way to kick off a pub session. Can't think of
Thanks very much, Richard. Thank you. I'll need a dram after that.
Yeah. Go and enjoy a wee dram and we'll come back to you for another set.
I will. I've got one set up here.
Right, good man, Archie. Thank you for that. We'll see you shortly. Cheers. How about that, Olaf?
It's hard to sit there and just look at the screen, you know, so you just want to get up and moving, and dancing.
Absolutely. Right, fantastic. What a great start from Archie. Now, let's move over to talk to Professor, I should say, Alan Wolstenholme. He's a whiskey expert, a consultant. He's worked all over the world, helping to build distilleries and consult on new distilleries, a well-known figure within the whiskey world. But he also has a very special connection to Campbeltown, and that's why we asked Alan to join us tonight. I was fortunate to meet Alan last year at an event at the University of Glasgow to talk about the centenary of Masataka Taketsuru's enrolment at the university. And what I found out on that occasion was that after Masataka Taketsuru enrolled at Glasgow University and found a local girl from Kirkintilloch just outside of Glasgow, he went down to Campbeltown to really learn more about the art of distillation or batch distillation. And it was no one other than Alan's grandfather who took Taketsuru under his wing and kind of taught him how to distill. So Alan, delighted you can join us tonight to tell us a little bit more about your connection with Campbeltown and about the Masataka Taketsuru story. So tell us, about the family connection first and foremost with Masataka Taketsuru.
Well, I'm not sure if everybody will be very au fait with Masataka Taketsuru, so I'll maybe just start out by saying a little bit about him, if I may. He arrived in Glasgow at the end of 1918 to enroll at the university, as you said, but he had been very much sent over by Setsu Shutsu, a company he was working for, totally with the mission of finding out how to make whiskey like the Scots did. So he wasn't your usual fresher rocking up at Glasgow Uni and thinking, oh, I'll join the Whisky Society, oh, I quite like this stuff, I could make a career in it. He'd already done a degree in Japan in fermentation scientists and was a scion of a Japanese drinks company. So he had a mission and he came over. And as you mentioned, he stayed in Glasgow, he went to the university, but he very much wanted to learn as much as he could about the practical side. And this led him to going to Elgin and then on to Rothes, and he spent 5 days in Longmorn Distillery, and he called that an apprenticeship about learning to make whiskey. Back living in Kirkintilloch, he visited a couple of grain distilleries, and, as you say, married the landlord's daughter, Rita Cowan. But although he'd spent some time in a couple of grain distilleries, Bowness sort of forgotten the name of the other one. It's Gartloch, both obviously silent now. He really wanted to find out about blending and making malt whiskey. And he was rooting around Glasgow, trying to find this picture here you flashed up. That is a picture from Longmorn Glenlivet, when he went up for 5 days. Very natty lab coat. I'm quite impressed by that. And he was delighted to be allowed to shovel malt in the maltings. The only person more delighted than him was the maltman, who was able to take a little bit of a break from shoveling malt, which he did every day. Anyway, so he'd spent a bit of time in the distilleries I've mentioned, but he was coming towards the end of his university time. He had married Rita against the wishes of both families at the very end of 1919, at the beginning of 1920. It was just the January 1920. And through the offices of Professor Thompson of what is now Strathclyde University, it was then the Royal Institution, it was arranged for him that he could go to Campbeltown and study hands-on distilling at Hazelburn. Now, my grandfather was the manager there. His name was Peter Margach Innes. Not a Wolstenholme. That name comes from my Yorkshire father. But on my mother's side, there's Inneses and Shaws who've been involved in the whiskey business for many, many generations. So he kind of hit lucky when he went down to Campbeltown, because he spent 5 months there between January and May. And in that time, he wrote a 100-page document about how to make whiskey in Japanese, obviously. And the fly page of that document, which I've been fortunate enough to see a translation of, is headed up Hazelburn Distillery, May 1920. So you are absolutely right. We are exactly 100 years on from the event of him completing his period of study at Hazelburn Distillery. Now, would there have been a Japanese whiskey industry without this stay? I think there probably would have been, but I think it would have been very, very, very different without that 5-month stay in Campbeltown. If you could flick back, the photos are going a little bit crazy on my screen anyway. Could you go back?
That's Hazelburn there, Alan.
Could you go back to the natty gentleman to before as well?
Certainly.
No, yeah, that start at that one if we can.
Yeah.
Right. That is Peter Mackey, very famous guy. Mackey and Co. White Horse Whiskey, owned Lagavulin, owned Craigellachie, and then he bought Hazelburn. And he bought it because he thought it was a good bargain. Campbeltown Whiskey was going through its troubles, its well-documented troubles, and I think he got a bargain. But Campbeltown Whiskey was unpopular with the blenders, and he thought that he would try to improve or change its quality to make it more acceptable. And that's when he headhunted my grandfather, who had already learnt his trade at Tamdhu, and then during the latter period of the First World War was working at Yoker Distillery in Glasgow, which belonged to the Harveys. So Peter Mackey came along, headhunted him and said, "You're the chap, brewer at Yoker, go and be the manager of my newly acquired Hazelburn Distillery." And as Nick Morgan said, he basically was told, try and turn it into a Speyside whiskey. And to some extent, that was his mission. And to some extent, he did achieve, although unfortunately Hazelburn was shut down in 1925. But my grandfather rocked up in about October 1919 to Hazelburn. And then a few months later, somebody through the offices of this professor, I think, decided that he could look after this Japanese gentleman who was so interested in whiskey.
And so when Masataka Taketsuru left Scotland, he went back to Japan with his new wife, Rita Cowan. and I heard that he was looking, well, he initially worked at a different distillery, but to set up his own distillery, he was actually looking for somewhere which had the same kind of geography as Campbeltown, the same kind of climate as Campbeltown. And so he looked far and wide, and he ended up on the island of Hokkaido, where he constructed his Yoichi distillery. And I know that you've actually paid a visit there, Alan. Does it have that kind of similar feel to a Campbeltown environment?
Yes, indeed. And we were fortunate enough to have some representatives from Nika at the Glasgow event who showed some startling photographs about the sunsets near Hokkaido. And it looked very much like the sunsets at Campbeltown, looking out over the Bar Island. So it was remarkable. You are absolutely right. When he went back to Japan, Setsu Shutsu had gone off the idea of making whiskey. Possibly they had become irritated with his behavior in marrying local or whatever, but that's speculation. But a chap called Shinjiro Tori wanted to make a whiskey distillery, so he recruited Masataka Taketsuru for 10 years, and they built and commissioned Yamazaki Distillery. And the Tori, which is now was Kutabayo, but is now Suntory, were really first off the block in making Scotch type drink in Japan in volume. After the end of the 10 years, Masataka Taketsuru, as you say, had a dream of making it almost more credibly or more mimicking Scotland. So he went to the north of Japan, which is seen as a little bit like Scotland. It's seen as not the centre of the country. It's more remote. The primitive, the people are seen as being more characterful, and also they have snow, skiing, and even a little bit of peat. So he thought it was a pretty good place to go and found his own distillery in Yoichi on Hokkaido in the north of Japan.
And we've got a little bit of your footage here, Alan, because you were up there, and it's one of the few distilleries which still uses coal-fired stills. So let me just show a little bit of that.
May I talk over?
Yes. Tell us what's going on.
I think it's fair to say that in Japan, particularly in Nika, if you want to see what the Scotch whisky industry was like 100 years ago, that's the place to go. They've got old coffee stills, and here you see direct firing of the stills. I know it's still done in Springbank for the wash still, and good all credit to them. Certainly when I was in charge of Glenfiddich in the early 90s, it was still being done there, although it isn't anymore. It takes real skill to build up a fire, to boil up a wash still without it boiling over and having a foul distillation, and be able to kind of then, boil it up, but then like a pan of milk, you've got to take the heat down a bit or else it will boil over, and draw that heat out, all with the aid of a coal burning fire and a long piece of metal, a rod, pulling that fire in and out to build temperature. It's not like turning the gas on and off or the steam on and off, as most distilleries do today.
Yeah. And Olaf, you've got some experience with Yoichi distillate, is that right?
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct. I just want to mention as well, there's a great book if you're interested in the story. I don't know if you can see it. It's fairly old, but I mean, if you want to read the story about Japanese whiskey, Scotch blend with the two there, it's a fabulous read.
And Olaf, tell us about your society bottling, because the society was kind of going against the mainstream when they bottled Japanese whiskey for the first time, right?
Yeah, no, I've mentioned that I came to Scotland in 2001. That's when I moved from London to Scotland, and I was privy enough to be part of the panel since then. So I'm now 19 years in the panel. I'm also one of the chairpersons of the panel now, and I was there maybe my 4th, 5th week in the panel, and I tried a whiskey. It was phenomenal. It was good. It was great. And then people said to me, it's Japanese whiskey. And I said, I didn't even know they made whiskey in Japan back then in 2001. So we bottled that one, 116.1. And when that came out, members cut their membership card in half, send it back to us in the society to say, we want nothing to do with you anymore because you're bottling stuff from Japan and you're the Scotch Malt Whisky Society. A beautiful story as well, as Alan was just mentioning, because the adopted son, Takeshi Taketsuru, he came to the vaults in Edinburgh on the invite of the Scotch Malt Whisky Society to open that first bottle of 116.1. I wasn't invited at the time, but it was a great night, I've been told. And he brought some original notes from his father with him to show that evening. And it's my love affair with Japanese whiskey started then, and it's been going on for the last, as I say again, 20 years. And one great whiskey writer, Michael Jackson, not the singer, songwriter, but the whiskey writer and beer writer, I think he put it very nicely. He said, the Scottish and the Japanese styles are brothers, closely related, but each with a slightly different character.
Well, I was going to ask, because we got a question coming in our comments there, Alan, about what would you say was the influence of Campbeltown on the taste of the Yoichi distillate?
Well, I think as we've mentioned, the 100-page booklet, he basically drew a blueprint of what a distillery should be like, and he based that on Hazelburn and possibly a little bit of Longmorn Glenlivet. He also possibly took the road less traveled, or a more difficult route, because when he was working for Koitabuya, which is Suntory, just let's call it Suntory, for Shinjiro Tori, he wanted to make a whiskey that was almost too challenging for the Japanese palate. He wanted to make a slightly heavier, peated whiskey. And he found that the Japanese didn't like this, and Shinjiro Tori and he had argued really over this, because Shinjiro wanted to have a more palatable, acceptable spirit for the Japanese palate. And to some extent, Masataka Taketsuru was almost a purist in saying, no, we've got to do it the same way as the Scots do it. So when he left Suntory and went off to found his own company, he was more free to follow his own ideas of what a whiskey should be, both in malt and subsequently grain, closely copying what he learned. So the influence of Campbeltown whiskey on Japanese whiskey is immense, even though not all Japanese whiskies, taste like Campbeltown whiskies. But that is the DNA of the gentleman, Masataka Taketsuru, who both built and commissioned Yamazaki and then went off and built his own distillery at Yoichi.
Fantastic. It's very interesting, and especially your personal connection, Alan, helps to bring the story to life. So we can raise a glass of whiskey to Campbeltown and to its connection with Japan. So fantastic. Thank you very much for joining us, Alan. Maybe you'll stick around. We've got a pub quiz coming up in a minute, and then we'll be drinking some whiskey very soon as well. So thank you so much for joining us. Great to see you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Alan. Okay, Olaf, ready for a pub quiz?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay.
Very hard time.
Yeah, well, it's not all whiskey. We've tried to kind of, make this a little bit of whiskey, a little bit of Campbeltown, Kintyre in general. So we realized maybe the quiz was a little bit hard. So there might be some easier questions in here. What we're going to do, we've got 15 questions for everyone to take part in the quiz. They're all multiple choice. So I will reveal the options as we go through it. You can get involved in the comments and say what you think the answer is going to be, and we'll reveal the answers as we go along. So shall we just get started?
Yep.
Okay. Olaf, you want to take us away?
I'll take the first question. Yep. In what year did Glengyle Distillery, home of Kilcarran's single malt, start production again? Was it in 2004, in 1998, or in 2007?
Okay. Any answers coming in?
Can't see any.
Not yet.
Not yet. Obviously, Google is slow.
Oh, here we go. Well, we've got a bit of a mix between A and C.
Right.
Right. Okay. Well, looks like most people are going for A. You know the answer to this one, Olaf, right?
That is the correct answer.
There we go. All right.
There's quite a nice story as well. I don't know if it's true, but a good story. I never let the truth get in the way of a good story. Apparently, there was the rumor that Campbeltown will no longer be a region of the Scotch whisky industry, losing it. And Springbank was asking, why is that the case? And they said, because there's only 2 distilleries in Campbeltown. So they said, well, but there is only 3 distilleries in the lowlands in those days. So they said, yeah, 3 is good enough. And then Springbank decided, okay, then we'll just build another one. So we've got 3, which actually was quite easy around 2000, 2004. I just looked at it, and I think there's about 14 distilleries now in the lowlands. So we always have to go back to the olden days in the 1920s or so to get back to so many distilleries in Campbeltown as well. But they've got it, they're staying, and they should do so because of the history we've had with Campbeltown.
Absolutely. Okay, question 2. I'll take this one. How many weeks was the Wings song Mull of Kintyre, written by Paul McCartney, obviously, at #1 in the charts? This is one for some of the older viewers, I suppose. Was it A, 7 weeks, B, 9 weeks, or was it C, 11 weeks? By any account, it was a long time. Do you like that song, Olaf?
I didn't hear it all the time, so actually I still like it. Yes, I mean it's a bit cheesy, but it's okay.
I don't think it was his best work, to be honest. It was in the charts so long that you couldn't escape it. So even if you started off liking it, it was hard to keep liking it after all that time.
True.
So the answer to this one is 9 weeks, 9 long weeks, I've got to tell you. Okay, question 3. You take this one, Olaf.
Yeah, I'll do. We're going a little bit more back in time with music. Who wrote the lyrics to the song Campbeltown Loch, I Wish You Were Whiskey? Is it Andy Stewart? Is it B, Will Fyvie? Or is it C, Alan Cameron? That's a tricky one.
It is a tricky one. It's a well-known song.
Don't look at this one here. Don't.
Right. We'll reveal the answer.
Should we?
There you go.
Alan Cameron.
See, everyone knows the song by Andy Stewart, but it wasn't him that wrote the lyrics. It was a chap called Alan Cameron. I don't know what else he did, but that's his claim to fame.
That's it.
Okay, moving on. So, if anyone was paying attention during our chat with Alan Wolstenholme, at which Campbeltown distillery did Masataka Taketsuru work at as an apprentice in 1920? We've just been talking about it, so no excuses for getting this one wrong. Was it A, Hazelburn, B, Ballintober, C, Kinloch? So really, no excuses. There's only one answer here.
Yep.
And that is Hazelburn, for those of you who got that right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think people were paying attention. Mostly A's coming in there. Good. You've all passed the test.
Good. Well, we haven't had any whiskey yet, Richard, so that helps, doesn't it?
The night is young. Okay, Alan. There you go.
Right. Well, we're going now way back in time to 1885. One of my all-time favorite books I always quote from. It's the good old big book, Alfred Barnard. That's what he's written. Super job he had, just traveling 2 years around Scotland and writing about all the distilleries. Now, when he went to Campbeltown, visited Campbeltown, 1885, how many distilleries were legally producing whiskey in Campbeltown? Was it A, 34? Was it B, 21? Or was it C, 25? That's a tricky one.
Well, we know that Campbeltown was Whiskyopolis, right? It was
Yes.
absolutely saturated with distilleries at one point, but
Yeah.
at this specific moment in time when Barnard visited, how many do we think?
That's the map here. As I can tell you, there were a total of 37 distilleries once upon a time in Campbelltown. But obviously, they opened
Let's see the map again, Olaf.
Yeah, I'll show it.
So that's the total of all the distilleries that ever produced in the town?
Yep.
Okay.
Legally.
Yeah. Okay. We are getting our answers in. And the correct answer is B, 21 were legally producing
Yep.
at that time. Okay. Question 6. This should be an easy one for society members. What's the name of the society's partner bar in Campbeltown? I think Iain McAlister already mentioned it, or we did before we came on the air. Is it A, the Archie Hotel? Is it B, the White Hart Hotel? Or is it C, the Royal Hotel? And I think Iain was due to be there tonight presenting the Glen Scotia dinner. Unfortunately, he's not there, but we're happy to have him with us. And the answer is A, the Archie Hotel.
Great place.
Very good bar.
I've spent many of times in the back garden as well when the sun was shining, and it's a great place.
Fantastic. Right, Olaf, over to you.
Right. Well, again, if you listened, you might get the answer. What year did the Scotchmore Whisky Society offer its first ever bottling of Japanese whiskey? Cask number 116.1. Was it in 2008? Was it in 1983? Or was it in 2002?
That's another one people should know if they were paying attention to your story, Olaf. No excuses.
No excuses.
You've had all the hints you need. The answer, of course,
2002.
Yeah.
And there is that bottle here.
Oh, the very one.
The very one.
Let's take a look at that. Fantastic. Can you imagine people were ripping up their membership cards in protest that the Scotch Whisky Society was bottling Japanese whiskey?
Shock horror. But to my horror, I realized when I looked for this one that I've drunk 2 bottles, and that's the last one I've had because no one wanted it at the time, so I got 3 bottles by the end, and 2 were drunk. But actually, it's not shock horror because that's what whiskey's made for, to be drunk and to be shared. And I remember very, very well one bottle which I've opened and finished with the gentleman from the Highlander Inn, because he was at Ems in Edinburgh. So the first time I opened it was with him in the grass market at a whiskey bar, and the last drop we had from that bottle was at the Highlander Inn at Craigallachie. So that's the story of one bottle. Somehow I must have lost the second bottle, but it certainly was drunk. So that's the last one I've got. And I'll give you another question. What do you think that bottle was, the price of that bottle at the time when it came out?
Okay, well.
Any numbers? What was the price of that bottle?
I can guess it's worth in the thousands now.
I'm not interested in that. I can tell you what I paid for it.
On you go. Make us jealous.
£47.
Oh, Olaf.
£47 a bottle. 16-year-old Urichi peated whiskey.
Not too bad.
Yeah.
We can only dream. Well, you hang on to that one, or maybe we'll be round and crack it open after the lockdown's over. We're coming round to your place. Okay, question 8. Prohibition has been blamed as a factor in the demise of Campbelltown's whisky industry. What years did it run from in the United States? Okay, was it 1920 to 1933, 1918 to 1933, or was it 1919 to 1930? That's a tricky one. Any guesses from you, Olaf?
I don't need to guess.
You've seen the answers, so that's
not because I've got the answers here, but because I know it.
Okay, so the answer was A, 1920 to 1933.
Yep.
Okay.
Actually, I would have got that one wrong because I've done quite a few of those long distance walks. I've done the West Highland Way, the Great Glen Way, the Rob Roy Way, the Speyside Way. But funnily enough, I was planning this year to do the Kintyre Way, and haven't done it yet, of course, given the circumstances. But I would have probably got that wrong at the answer. So there is a long distance walk. It's called the Kintyre Way. It's a trail running for 100 miles down to Machrihanish. So right, not quite a mile of, well, you go down the Mile of Kintyre and then you go back up again on the coast. And where does this way start? So where's the starting point of it? Loch Gilpert, Tarbert, or Kennacraig?
Tricky. Archie McAllister would know, but the answer.
I can tell you, I bought that CD there, so that should give you some idea.
Okay, we've got a few different answers coming in.
Yeah,
people are all over the place. I think it's lucky.
Yeah.
So the answer is
Tarbert.
Tarbert.
Yep.
Okay. Question 10. This is an easy one. What's the name of the island in the mouth of Campbeltown Loch? The island that Masataka Taketsuru was looking out on when he finished his shift at Hazelburn. So is that island Davar? Is it Sanda? Or is it Dalavadi? And I know these are all local names, but only one of them is the island that sits just outside of the town. And I think you can walk across to it when the tide is out.
You can.
So the answer to that one, yeah, everyone knows this, is A, Davar. Yep. Okay. 11.
Gosh, right. Guess the society flavor profile color. It is blue. So is it A, spicy and sweet? Is it B, oily and coastal? Or is it C, juicy, oak and vanilla?
Right. Now, there's a wee clue to this one, Olaf, because as you can see, our look tonight is in this flavor profile color.
Yeah.
And I chose it because it's quite often associated with our bottlings from Campbeltown.
Correct.
Which has a distinctive characteristic, a distinctive flavor profile.
Yeah.
So if anyone guessed, let's see. Oh, I think everyone's on the money with this one.
Good.
It is in fact, yes, B, oily and coastal.
Yeah.
Not all our bottlings are oily and coastal, but it's certainly a character that we find a lot.
Well, actually, funny, the two we have tonight are not oily and coastal. So that's
right. That's right. Okay. 12. Take it away, Olaf.
How many generations of the Mitchell family have owned and managed Springbank?
Oh.
Tricky. 3 generations? Or 4? Or was it 5?
Right. Is it A, B, or C? Let's see. We've got one coming in for A.
It's longer than you think.
Yeah. No, C seems to be the favoured answer so far. Oh, we've got a B. Oh, we're all over the place with this one.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Well,
right.
It is C. It's 5 generations.
Amazing, huh?
Yep.
Okay, 13. Here's another easy one. We've been giving away all the answers before we even started the quiz. On which island did Masataka Taketsuru build his Yoichi distillery, which we've just been talking to Alan Wolstenholme about? Okay, and let's see. We've got A, Hokkaido, B, Honshu, C, Shikoku. Right, let's see if we're getting any.
There should be no mistake in that one.
Yeah, easy.
Easy.
Oh, maybe not so easy. Oh, Julian got it right. Well,
good man.
He can keep his job at the society.
Yeah.
All right. No, we've got most people going for A. Oh, there's a C coming in. The answer is Hokkaido, the northern island at the top of Japan, which reminded him of his time in Campbeltown.
Yeah.
Okay, 14, Olaf.
So now comes a history question. Which famous figure from Scottish history sailed from Campbeltown to America in 1774? Was it A, Bonnie Prince Charlie? Was it B, Robert Burns? Or was it C, Flora MacDonald?
Do you know your history, Olaf?
I do know my history, yes. I do know my history.
I think that's quite an easy one, actually. Just by process of elimination, maybe?
Correct.
Yeah.
I could sing the Skyboat song. That might help, but I'm not doing it.
Leave the music to Archie, Olaf.
I know.
Well, we've got a few different guesses coming in. A, B, and C. Okay.
Right.
So the correct answer is
Flora MacDonald.
Yeah. Okay. Right. And our last question of the quiz. How many miles is it from Glasgow to Campbeltown by road? And it's quite a journey. I know for anyone that's done it, it seems to go on for a long, long time. I was very happy the last time I went down there in 2018 to see Iain and the gang at Glen Scotia. I was lucky enough to fly down from Glasgow, and it took all of 25 minutes. It was one of the best little flights I've ever had, especially when I thought I'm avoiding that road. It was such a pleasure. Yep. So how many miles is it? Is it A, 138, B, 88, or C, 156? It certainly feels like at least 156, but in reality,
it feels longer than that. And I've done it once. I've done it once on the coach, actually, from Glasgow, and it feels like 300 miles.
Never ending. I can imagine.
Because it stops at every little village on the way down, so it leaves the main road, goes into the village, and then comes back out again. It's just
Okay. The answer is 138, and you notice every one of those miles, I have to say, but the destination makes it worth it.
That's right.
So I don't know how you all did finally totting up your scores in the pub quiz, but just a wee bit of fun, and hope you enjoyed that. Okay, so I don't know about you, Olaf, but I am ready to drink some whiskey, and I am absolutely...
Say that, Richard.
Yeah, not a moment too soon, and I'm delighted, absolutely delighted to welcome Iain McAlister into the virtual pub. Iain, of course, is the master distiller at Glen Scotia. We first met Iain, I think it was 2009 when I was down in Campbeltown. It was one of my first whiskey stories that I was working on for Unfiltered magazine. And I've been to Springbank and met the guys there. And then I came down to Glen Scotia and I looked at this kind of really run down building. I've got to be honest, it wasn't looking all that great. And I think you just started at that time. And we caught up and had a chat. And I really thought, this place looks like it was on its knees. And what a difference. I mean, 10 years later, I was back there and I just couldn't believe the difference. And it's an absolute delight to see how things have changed at Glen Scotia. It's been an incredible turnaround, really.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been quite amazing. You know, it really has. You know, over the last, as I say, the decade even. You know, it's went from strength to strength. So it's been fantastic. You know, it really is. A rags to riches story for sure, Richard. And as I say, long may it continue. Fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you've got a lot of fans within the society from our membership of the bottlings that we offer to them. And we've got a cracking festival bottling to share tonight. Olaf is going to lead us on the tasting. We put this on sale today, and I think it's sold out within a minute or so. You know, people were absolutely champing at the bit to get hold of this bottle. Unfortunately, by the nature of what we do, it's a single cask bottling, so there's only so much to go around and huge demand for it. But it's an absolute beauty. I'm going to pour myself. I've got my dram here. So, Olaf, do you want to talk us through it?
Yeah. No, I can't believe, Iain, because we know each other now for many years as well. And I always said to you, I would love to do a tasting with you. Never in a million years did I think we're going to sit now here looking at a screen at each other and drinking some whiskey. But hey, here we go. It's the way it is.
It's quite amazing, you know. And I've been watching obviously the whole program with envy, because I'm looking at Olaf's flat there, or shrine, should I say, you know, to whiskey, and it's absolutely got everything in it you could possibly want. Everything's at your fingertips there, you know. It's quite.
Oh, yeah, this is my little Campbeltown here, you see.
It's been noted.
You know, it even goes back to these days, you know, sort of.
That's the Highland cow, the disco cow. It's quite amazing.
Yes, exactly. No. So here we are, 93,129. Yeah. As Richard said, 225 bottles. That's all we got out of it, and it's all sold out. Colourful label that tells you it's a special bottling, and it's for the Campbeltown Festival. And it says for sharing with good company. Well, there is a Scottish saying: anyone who likes whiskey can't be all that bad. So therefore, I think we all should be sharing it. And as it's sold out, we should even share it more, because then other people can have a chance as well to try it. So it's 10 years old. Yeah. It's a first fill barrel, 57.9%. And well, I've got the price here, but I don't have to mention it because it's priceless. So that's what that is. And the flavor profile is spicy and sweet. And lovely color. In the new panel, in the new online world, that is a color free in the society, as we call it in the panel these days. That's not very poetic. So I call it 18 karat gold. That's what I call it. You know, liquid sunshine, liquid gold. That's what that is. Obviously not colored. So that's the original color coming from the cask. So let's take a little nose.
Wonderful oils. See the oils in the glass?
Yeah.
Beautiful oils there.
Yeah.
Clean, fresh. It really is. You know, beautiful color too. A lovely, lovely shade, isn't it? Wonderful.
Quite fresh, quite sweet. I find it sort of honeydew melon. Yeah. I'm getting. I mean, sort of a fruity note.
Fruits. A lot of fruits there. Very. Yeah. You know, it's
salad.
Yeah.
It's very summery to me. I'm getting like the strawberries and cream, and it's a kind of sunshiny dram. You know, some drams just put you in a place. It could be by the fireplace, but this one's taking me outside.
Yep.
I'm down at the shore in Campbeltown. The sun is out. It's almost like a daytime dram, I think.
Richard, I think you just wish to be outside at the moment. You know.
that is for sure.
Dreaming. Yes, that's it. No, it's a. But as we were talking about oily and coastal, you know, this one here, I mean, I've got no oil. I've got no sort of saltiness, brininess. It's a very sweet, fruity dram for me on the nose.
Yeah, very clean, fresh, lovely.
I mean,
yeah.
The tasting note has a little bit of Parma ham maybe in it, so that's sort of a smoky meatiness. Whereby I'm obviously coming from Germany, from Stuttgart, so I wouldn't say Parma ham. I would say Black Forest ham for me. Would that be so? But it's
Yeah, it really is. It's
Beautiful.
custard. You get the custard aspect, cream.
Yep. So let's give it a try. I mean, we've been waiting long enough.
I already tried mine, Olaf. I couldn't wait.
Oh yes.
You're just like my Aberdonian members when I had them. I was talking about the whiskey and said, so let's have a sip. And they said, what do you mean a sip? It's gone. I mean, sort of, yeah, that's...
That's wonderful. It really fresh, balanced, flavoursome. You know, it really is beautiful.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm loving the colour. I really love that colour. That's beautiful. First fill bourbon.
Yep.
Yeah. Top dram.
Yep. And 57.9%. I mean, for me, easily drinkable neat. I could easily drink that just the way it is. As I say, very sweet, very fruity, sort of peach and cream for me. Peach Melba, maybe. I mean, sort of.
Yeah, that's right. You don't really need. You don't need any water, Matt. It really is. You know, it's so beautifully balanced.
Yep.
We're getting some other notes coming in here. This is Klaus saying the nose is really bright with malt, honey, citrus. Yep. That's a good shout.
Yeah.
Let's add a drop of water just to see what happens.
I've got my special jug here, Ian.
You've got the jug there. My goodness, well done, well
souvenir,
done.
Souvenir from a couple of years ago.
There we go. You need the jug. That's it.
I've got my old Scotchmore Whisky Society noggin.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh, the noggin.
The noggin.
That's a collector's item, Olaf.
Oh, it's and you know, when I first came to Scotland in 1983, these ones, when I went to bed and breakfast, these were standing at the bedside table when you went to bed. One of those noggins filled with water and the other one filled with whiskey. And that was your bedside dram. Nowadays, of course, at B&Bs, you have flat screen TV and you've got Wi-Fi and God knows what. I know what I would be choosing if I would have a choice. I would take the two noggins. I mean, enjoy whiskey.
That's wonderful. The water just takes the edge off it ever so slightly. You know, it really just, you know, it's really easy to drink at that strength, but I feel the water, you know, just makes it slightly more accessible.
Yes,
rounds it off a bit. Beautiful.
If anything, I would sort of say it's like now a warm autumn day for me rather than a sort of, I think without water it was more of a spring day. Now it's more sort of an autumn day for me, sort of a hot, warm.
Yeah, more rounded. More rounded.
It's because it's mellowed out a little bit, isn't it? Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm.
Actually, Richard, that was the first thing I wrote down when I tasted it first with water. Then mellow. That was the first thing for me. It was that lovely mellowness, which obviously you don't associate with Campbeltown normally. Yeah.
No, you're looking for this robust, oily, coastal aspects, you know, and you're getting something that's really quite light, fresh, tropical, flavoursome. Yeah, that's a lovely bottle. I actually said that to Richard when I really like that one. Wonderful. Beautiful.
Great stuff.
Sort of quite a peppermint finish, sort of a fresh peppermint finish.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. No, lovely. As I say, well balanced finish. Wonderful. You know.
The beauty of single casks, isn't it? I mean, it's just.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, they're well, that's it. You really don't know what you're going to get. You know, everyone's going to be unique. So, but yeah, that's a special one. You know, how many bottles was it? 225, and they're all going.
Yes. Yeah. Well, we have one.
We got.
You've got something else up your sleeve, haven't you?
What's that?
You've got something else up your sleeve just now, because we're going to move on to the Glen Scotia Festival bottling, but you had something else you wanted to share.
Yeah, and Ian as well, isn't it? I mean, sort of, because we got that.
Yes. Okay, so, the next one, guys, is, well, you might know about this yet, but it's basically it's the 2018 festival bottling. Okay, so that's a ruby port finish. It will start off life in first fill bourbon casks, medium peated. And this was slightly higher strength than what we normally do now. This was 57.8%. Lovely colour. You can probably see that colour there. And it's very, 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 very rare. So I'll obviously need to explain to Hector and Roseanne when I go back to the distillery why that last bottle was open. So don't tell me.
Blame it on me, Ian.
Olaf. So yes, it's a lovely dram this, and it really went well. You know, at the time it was really, it was value. You know, really well priced, and it sold out quite quick. The peating level in this one, you're going to be roughly about what I would term a medium peated. So it's going to be roughly about 23 parts per million at the start of the production run. And yeah, 2008, that's the year I started at Glen Scotia. So some of the first casks I rolled over were that medium peated stock. So yeah, it's obviously a good choice, Olaf. It's a lovely dram. It really is.
Because if you remember, Ian, I was in your shop with Swiss members from the society in 2018.
Yeah,
and they were walking away with quite a few more bottles than just that one here. But for me, this one was stunning. Was really stunning. And so therefore, when I knew you had another portwood finish now 2 years later, I was just thinking it's a lovely comparison. And again, they couldn't be. They're so different, both of them. I mean, sort of in their own right.
It really is. You know, it's wonderful. You know, the first thing you look at the colour there. You know, obviously you're getting the I don't know if you can see that, but you get that ruby port, you know, the colour there, the coloration through it. Again, it's got that first fill bourbon influence, you know, it's got that freshness to it. Lovely oils on it. I love the oils around the glass, and I always like to give the glass a wee turn like that, you know, just to get the oils on it. A wee bit of oxidization there, evaporation, get the flavours to come to you, but beautiful, beautiful colour there. And on the nose, yeah.
I feel bad. I'm missing out here, but I did have a bottle of this. I don't know how you've saved yours for 2 years, Olaf, because mine didn't last that long. So I'm relying on some whiskey memories here instead of having something in my glass. Mine's long gone.
Here, you smell that.
Oh, that's good. That takes me back.
Actually, Richard, you mentioned strawberries in the first one. I've actually written my notes here, and I got sort of strawberries and vanilla on the nose with a smouldering sweet peat fire next to it.
Yeah, it's very much, you know, I think, you know, a lot of these Glen Scotias, you don't get a lot of the peat straight away in the nose. You know, they're very, very strained, refined even. And it's just obviously when you do get into them, sometimes the peat, you know, the peat's there, but it's all in a lovely balance, you know, with the coastal influence, the coastal association there. So yeah, you do straight away. You do get it's more red berries, you know, you're getting raspberry. Wonderful. Let's give it a wee try, guys.
Yep.
Yeah. And then you get the raspberries, the red currants, real sweetness, a lot of the peat there. Wonderful flavour profile, but it's so smooth, so balanced, like a bit of custard, vanilla. Yeah.
I've written a raspberry coulis for me. It was sort of like raspberry coulis, citrusy, black pepper, and a torched creme brulee I did get on that one.
That's absolutely. I've got to say, Olaf's the king at the tasting notes. He really, his tasting notes are absolutely world beaten.
And you know what, Ian? His English is better than anyone else's on the tasting panel.
I'm beginning to feel a wee bit. You know, his history of whiskey in Scotland and everything seems to be. You know, he's spot on.
Absolutely.
Good guy.
Don't tell them I paid you for that, Ian.
See you later.
Right, guys, can we move on to whiskey here?
Yep.
I'm missing out.
You're missing out.
Very different. Lovely. Beautiful.
Okay. So yes, on to the Tawny Port, guys.
Yep.
Okay, and this again, you know, wonderful. This is obviously I'll just give you a wee look at this so everyone can see it, minus the cork. Okay, that's obviously the festival edition 2020. So that's available as we speak in all good retailers outlets. And this is wonderful. A lovely farm. It's a Tawny Port finish, and it's a mixture of a refill American oak, medium charred American oak barrels, and first fill barrels. Okay, and there's different levels of peat in there. Okay, so we're going from some heavily peated, medium peated, etc. And again, it's been finished. So all these barrels, we've fatted them together, and then we've finished it for up to 8 months in the Tawny Port hogshead. Okay, and it's basically bottled at 52.8. Okay, so this colour is wonderful. Lovely. Yep. Look at that.
Yeah,
that's wonderful. So yeah, straight away in the nose. Well, first thing you get the oils, you know, you get the colour, guys, but you're getting blackberry, you're getting floral notes, rose, ocean spray. You know, you get that coastal influence there. Absolutely, that's what you should be getting. It should be there, and it's wonderful. It holds it all together, and it looks so clean to me. You know, it's obviously a certain amount of robustness there, but it's clean, it's fresh, it's balanced, and that's what you want.
You see, Ian, I wrote a head of honey, burnt heather fields by the sea, and dark cherries, morello cherries. I got.
See, can I argue with that? Absolutely. That's.
We'll drink to that, oh.
We'll drink to that, sir.
I'm getting the quite leathery notes, and I think that's quite common from the Tawny Port influence.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, as I say, you know, sometimes it can be, you know, slightly more. Obviously, with the Ruby Port, there's less of the wood potentially coming through there, but you're getting more with the Tawny Port. Let's give it a wee try, guys. Slanger.
Cheers, Ian.
Yeah. But again, you know, it's got a lovely mouthfeel. It really has. You know, you get a lot of the flavour, peach, vanilla syrup. You get honey, a little bit of obviously that smoke. It's maybe a wee bit oily, smoky, pitch piney, resiny. Nice.
Yep. So, someone's asking, Ian, how many bottles are available?
I believe, guys, there's 16,000 bottles. So yeah.
Here's Gary saying 15,000 bottles across the world. So
yes. Yeah. So there you go.
Oh, that's lovely.
That must be minus 1,000 we've got in Campbeltown. It's nice. It really is nice. Lovely dram, as I say. Beautiful.
And lovely. Again, I would say it doesn't need water really.
No. I mean, do you know, at that strength, probably the first one, the Ruby Port, as I say, it's slightly higher, so a wee bit of water would maybe beneficial, maybe make it a wee bit more accessible. But with this one, no, it's a nice strength. That when you get down at 52, then absolutely.
Ian, here's a question for you from Luna Aaron. Would you ask, how did you pick the casks for this one, or for all your festival editions? How do you go about that? What's the process?
Well, obviously, there's quite a bit of team involvement with the casks. You know, picking the casks. We'll basically select as many casks we can. Michael at Lochloman's got a big part to play in it too. He's obviously the master blender, so he's obviously taking a big say in the pulling them all together. So again, team effort. You know, we'll select so many at the distillery. Michael will potentially have some Glen Scotia stock at his end, and we can look at it and, as I say, you know, pull the best casks for this. I've actually got one Tawny Port port cask at the distillery. There's just a one-off, and we use that as part of the dunnage, dunnage tasting. So, yeah, it's something that takes quite a bit of effort, quite a bit of team input. Obviously, especially when you're talking about 16,000 bottles, it's obviously quite a lot of casks to make that work. So it's good. It's good.
Beautiful.
Lovely dram. It really is. Yeah.
This to me, I mean, like Richard, you were saying, sort of puts you to a place. That for me would be sort of a fireside dram, sort of for 10 at night, just sort of sit down, put your feet up and just let the world be the world.
Absolutely. What I like about these, and when I started at Glen Scotia, I was, I would say, a bit obsessed really with first fill bourbon casks, non-peated, and that was really, that worked for me for Glen Scotia for that flavour profile. But as time went on, I found out that obviously the peated aspects, some of the Glen Scotias were absolutely amazing and really, really could stand on their own quite easily. So that's why I've got a good love for some of these festival editions, because you've just got that peated thread going through them. Doesn't dominate, doesn't overtake the flavour profile, but enhances it all. Obviously gives it a superb background. And as Olaf said there, it really is. It's got that peaty, smoky, tarry sometimes, resiny, lovely. Really.
And it's just there at the back of the palate, and it lingers beautifully, doesn't it? It's got a lovely staying power on the palate.
Yeah. Again, Richard, I've written gently sweet peat smoke going on and on and on.
Aye.
I mean, that's a sort of it's that sort of, and I've added a bit of water as well now to it, and it's holding up very well. It's holding up very well.
What strength is this at, Iain?
It's 52.8.
Okay.
Yep. Double check that. Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
50.8.
Yeah. As I always say, in the society, that's almost mother's milk. Sort of 52.8. I mean, that's.
It is. Yeah, it is. Actually, the water's made a little bit of difference. Actually, it's really toned it down a wee bit. So,
That's
lovely dram. It really is nice dram. It's so accessible.
Well, certainly a lot of fans out there, people enjoying it, those who have already got their hands on a bottle.
Well, that's the beauty of it. Thank goodness that obviously to a lot of the good teamwork that managed to get it out to everybody, and everybody can obviously get a bottle if they're looking for one. So yeah, absolutely, win-win. So it's good. It really is good.
Great stuff. Right, Olaf, you ready to present us with different bottling from Campbeltown?
As we had now 2 peaty whiskies from Glen Scotia, I think it's time for a Scotch Malt Whisky Society peaty whiskey, and it's aptly called Sweet and Grubby. Sweet and Grubby. It's 93.112. It's a refill hoggy, so a hogshead, so slightly bigger than the barrel. 53.7%. It's also 14 years old. You can see the theme. The first 2 were 10 years old, and the second 2 were 14 years old. And let's give it a try.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, long sold out as well. And color probably a little bit darker than the festival ones. I would say 24 karat gold if I would have to put a color onto it.
Yeah.
Lightly peated is the flavor profile.
What a different character that has, though.
It's completely different.
Yeah, it really is. Do you know, that's what I absolutely, again, the refill hogsheads, whether it's American oak, they're absolutely wonderful just for the distillery character, the distillery DNA. There's no hiding it there. What you see is what you get, and what you taste is what you get there. So it's, yeah.
But that's also why I love this. Why I love the society so much. It's not my tasting note, Iain, so I'll quote it. So, whatever it sounds like, the nose was actually very attractive, puff candy, maple syrup, rum and raisin, but also oak shavings, salted licorice, and something of a trawler's engine room.
Mm-hmm.
So there we go. I actually usually call it the Kalmak Ferry sort of aroma, which Richard will have on Friday when you're heading over to Isla with the virtual pub. But it's got that sort of a there is this oiliness, you know, sort of, is it dirty oil, is it clean oil? I'm not quite sure, but it's got that grubbiness, I mean, sort of in the nose, which is very, very pleasant, I find. I mean, sort of,
you're right. I know exactly where they're coming from with the tasting note, because it's got that coastal maritime influence, and it's association with the sea, with boats, with potentially, you know, the machinery on boats, and sometimes there's sometimes the early morning coastal, you know, a coastal influence. Got a lovely, lovely smell, a lovely, and I know where they're coming from with that one. It's lovely. That's wonderful. Wonderful dram.
Right. Let's give it a try. Well, Richard probably drunk it already, have you?
Well, I've certainly tried it. I've not finished it, but I'm on my way.
Slanja, guys.
Slanja.
It's absolutely. You know, the beautiful. As I say, you really get that refill aspect. Fudge, caramel-esque. You know, it really is. It's got a sweet to it.
It's got that licorice edge to it as well, doesn't it? But it's a bit robust. You know, that's a big punchy dram, isn't it?
It is. You see, I sometimes get carried away with those tasting notes. If you would have known, I mean, sort of. But for me, it's like spiced grilled Caribbean langoustines or something. And if you think that's ridiculous, there are palm trees in Campbeltown, so it's not that far away.
And we've got a potential tasting panelist here, industrial, like an old car distributor cap. How about that?
I love that. That's absolutely that's spot on, isn't it?
Yep.
That's where I went wrong in my youth. I wasn't around distributor caps enough.
We've all got our own reference points, right?
Well done, Sean. Well done. That's lovely. It really is. Try a little bit of water. Yep. Let's see how we're going. It really is. You know, I've got to say, it's really clean, fresh looking. You know, the colour is absolutely wonderful. That is the oils there. Look at these oils. See the oils up in the glass? Can't miss them.
No.
That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Beautiful drum. Oh, aye. I think obviously with the water, you seem to get behind the initial grubbiness, for the want of a better word. You know, you seem to get beyond that.
Yep.
Slightly more of the flavour profile seems to become apparent. You know, slightly more fruity aspects.
Yes. Yep.
Tropical. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, well, we're going to the Caribbean, you see. Tropical.
Absolutely. We're going the right way.
Tropical Campbeltown.
As always.
Well,
wonderful.
You get the odd day now and then, don't you?
Well, that's it. Well, you've seen the pictures there with the palm trees on them. So yeah, the Gulf Stream, and you know, it obviously influences a lot of Campbeltown's weather. So I mean, tonight's probably an exception to the rule. It's maybe not as nice, but
Ian, in 2018 at the Campbeltown Festival, I got sunburned.
There you go. It
was stunning week weather-wise.
Yeah.
It
was amazing.
It was.
I mean, every open day we've been blessed with the weather. You know, the weather's really been nice. It's been a fantastic turnout of people, and it's been a great day. You know, it really has. It's been a real festival feel to it, which is super. It really is super.
No, it's a good festival. I mean, it's still. It always compares to, like, I used to go to the Speyside Festival way back 2003, 4, 5. So it's got more that sort of more everyone's together festival feel about it. Because obviously being quite a small area as well, I loved it. I loved it in 2018. And if there would be one festival going back to, it would be Campbeltown.
Yeah, it really is. You know, it's fantastic. And again, it wasn't that long ago where obviously there was obviously originally Springbank. And then obviously I think it's 5 years, I think we've been doing it. So before the 5 years, there was zero. So, you know, during the festival week, we were, well, it's back to what Richard was saying in 2009, you know, it was, you know, we were obviously just doing our own thing, but there was never any festival. So it's fantastic to
It's good to see.
What a turnaround. But it's amazing.
Callum should get a mention. I mean, sort of in the visitor centre, who is a great guy. I mean, sort of such an enthusiastic person as well.
Well, that's I mean, he is, you know, and the whole team at Glen Scotia, as I say, you know, they're fantastic. They really are, you know, because it's such a small team, and sometimes there's a lot expected of people, you know, but everyone steps up to the mark, and they do remarkably well. So it's
right, Iain. Should we take take the old-fashioned bottle? Sort of. Iain, we're showing our age now. You know, sort of. I mean.
Well, yes, I am anyway. That's for sure. Yeah.
There we go.
What have we got here, gents?
Well, this is basically a Glen. Well, there's not much left in mine, as you can see. It's went down rather well. This is what you call an old classic Glen Scotia. So this is a 14-year-old. I think this one's potentially from the 80s, early 90s, 80s, but Olaf's definitely from the 80s. Yeah, wonderful.
You see, with the screw top. No popping.
No, that's cork nonsense. You know, it's all.
It can never dry out, that cork, you know. So
well, you know, and I actually find it's quite interesting, the screw top, because it shows you where whiskey was at the time when they made a screw top.
Right.
You know, it was a different beast at that time, you know, and obviously the screw tops.
So I just thought, for good measure, you know, have one of those.
Yes, there we go. Fantastic.
I'm still in my previous one, but I'll slange you anyway.
Slange. And I'll just read you what's on the back of that bottle, which I think is just so 80s as well. A distinctive peaty flavour of a whiskey from the Mull of Kintyre, carefully aged in hand-picked oak casks until it reached the perfect time of maturation. There you go.
That's a statement, isn't it? That's a statement.
That's on the back of it. That's on the back of the bottle.
I wonder.
Here's a question from Grant, guys. How peaty is it for that era?
Well, you know, that's a really, really good question, and it would probably vary. I mean, there would have been elements. You know, a lot of the Glen Scotia from the 60s and 70s. I mean, there was blends such as Old Scone, there was Royal Kilross, there was Old Court, I think. You know, there was a lot of different ones. So there was some blends in there. There was some, you know, standard issue Glen Scotias. So it would vary a lot. You know, it really would vary a lot. And you tend to think, well, obviously, you know, nowadays we do everything better and we're more advanced and we know exactly what we're doing. But they didn't know that they were doing it at that time. You know, especially in the 60s into the early 70s at Glen Scotia, you know, there's a real lot of good whiskey produced there by Gillis. So to answer the question, how peaty is it? To be honest with you, I really don't know.
It's got quite a peachy nose. I mean, is it the nose? Certainly, there is a distinct smokiness to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, I'll just read you two comments of that because it's hilarious. One comment was, "This is an obscure F ... malt. Try it if you have a chance. I don't know why, but I absolutely love it." That was one comment. And then I would like to quote Jim Murray on his first whiskey Bible back in 2004. Gosh, it goes back 16 years as well. That was his first whiskey Bible he wrote. And he gave that whiskey 90 points. And his final remark was on that note, if Glen Scotia had been this good in the past, it wouldn't have had suffered such a checkered career. Absolutely engrossing mold with fabulous complexity.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with that. And as
I'll drink to that, Ian. I'll drink to that.
Your good health, guys. It really was. You know, at that time period, it was top notch. You know, obviously what they were doing was really good. It's obviously when you get into different ownerships and different periods, start, stop, and then that's when the trouble begins.
Yeah.
We've got a question there, Ian. Are any of these bottles still available? I guess you'd need to be digging around on some of the auction sites to pick up. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean, I've got the same problem. You know, obviously, I kind of source these bottles, so I've just got to do what everyone else does. You know, if I'm looking for any of those bottles, then yeah, just as you say, Richard, just dig around for them. I've got to say though, even when I started at Glen Scotia, they were quite readily available. A lot of independent bottlers were readily available, but nowadays they're actually becoming quite scarce and dare I say quite expensive. A lot of them.
Yeah, like gold dust.
Well, that's it. If we're drinking after all, so why not? Why not?
Great. Well,
Richard, I don't think you have got any work for me anymore now, have you? I mean, sort of, I'm just enjoying myself.
No, you're not finished just yet, Olaf. We'll wrap it up with Ian. It's always a pleasure to see you, Ian. I'm
good to see you.
I'm sorry we're not there in Campbeltown ourselves this year, but this is the next best thing, to sit and have a dram with you and catch up and, you know, just get some chat. So an absolute delight and some brilliant whiskey to share. And just thanks very much for coming into the virtual pub tonight. Great to see you.
My pleasure, guys, and thank you very much. And thanks also to Archie and Alan for the talk. The talk was right up my street, absolutely brilliant. So thank you very much. And may I add, I'm now a member of the Scotch Malt Whisky Association.
Oh, that's about time.
Brother. Right. Hey, brother.
Yeah, we will see you next year in person.
Okay, thanks, guys. Take care.
Right.
Thank you very much.
Cheers, Ian.
Cheers.
Great stuff. Right. Now, I think we should wrap up the pub session, Olaf, by going back to Archie. He's been waiting patiently in the wings, but he's there ready to go. So, Archie, will you play us out with a couple of tunes?
Certainly, yeah. Really enjoyed the show there.
Great stuff.
Aye.
Yeah, I hope you weren't drinking too much before you get back onto the fiddle.
Oh, no, I'm sure you did see me, aye. Keeping an eye on me.
No,
I've enjoyed the crack from you. It's been brilliant.
Great stuff.
Aye.
Right. What have you got for us now, Archie?
I'll play a wee sort of medley of tunes. The first one is Sweet Island of Ar. It was, I think it was written by Donald Mackay, I believe. I was speaking with my brother in the town lately about this, and he might have been a relation of ours because my middle name's Mackay. And I'll dedicate that to that Masataka Taketsuru, as you were saying. He loves that island, and I'll play the Road to Drumlemon, as they say in Drumlemble. That was Molly Mitchell from Campbeltown that wrote that, and then I'll dedicate Campbeltown Loch to the rest of yous, and then play a flourish of reels to finish off with Drunken Piper, Bonnie Ann, Sleepy Maggie, and the Fairy Dance.
Fantastic, right?
So
everyone's got permission to dance wherever they are. They can get out of their seat and have a wee jig. So
that should only take about half an hour.
Play as long as you like, Archie. No problem.
I'm enjoying the drums too much here, and I love that what you were saying there, Olaf. I loved your noggin there. That's a great. That's a great word for your head as well. Yeah, you've got some noggin on you, you know. But it's a right Camel one.
Right, Archie.
Sure. Right, all best.
Over to you. Wow. Archie,
Thanks
that
very
was
much.
absolutely sensational. Absolutely sensational. Just brilliant. What a way to wrap up our evening in the Campbeltown pub.
Thanks very much.
Great to see you. Thank you so much for coming in and sharing your music. Just brilliant. And I know there's no substitute for a real pub and live music, but you know, that's about as close as we can get.
It's been great tonight. Thanks very much for inviting me along.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Enjoy your company.
Great stuff.
All the best.
We'll see you next year.
See you next year, no doubt.
Right.
All the best. Good night, folks.
Good night.
Cheers.
Thank you.
Right, Olaf. I think that's us. Just about done.
Yeah.
How are you feeling?
I'm feeling absolutely fine. I mean, well, good whiskey, good music, good people. What more do you want? I mean, sort of that's what it is. And I've had lots more to say, but I know we're running. Time is just ticking over, so I'll keep it with Mark Twain, American writer, who once said, "It's better to keep your mouth shut and appear stupid than to open it and remove all doubt." So I'll rather keep quiet now. But as we are celebrating the 100 years centenary of Masataka Taketsuru in Hazelburn, I would like to finish with a saying he very poetically and very apt once mentioned. He said, "Whiskey making is an act of cooperative creation between the blessing of nature and the wisdom of man." And I think you can't say it better than that. And with all of that, as you can see, my name is Olaf, and I'll give you all a virtual hug. But I do like warm hugs. So next time we're going to meet again, I will be delighted to hug you all because I'm missing it. I'm missing the connection with the people in this difficult time. But that's the next best thing. I was nervous at the beginning. I've enjoyed it. I hope the people out there have enjoyed it as well. And I'll just want to drink to that. Slanjava.
Slange, Olaf. Thank you so much for coming into the pub and sharing the time with us. It's been brilliant. We're back on Friday evening, this Friday coming, the 22nd. It's our last virtual pub session. We're heading across the water from Campbeltown. We're heading over to Islay, and we're going to have a cracking night on Islay to wrap things up with some cocktails, with some more music. We'll have our pub quiz and guests coming into the pub. So that's at 8 o'clock on Friday night. So I hope to see you all then. Before we leave, thank you for everyone that came in to participate in the pub session tonight. Thank you for all our viewers and all the comments and all the the warmth that we're feeling from our members around the world. We're all in this together. We will see you on the other side. In the meantime, let's do what we can to share a dram, stay safe, stay healthy, look after each other, be kind, enjoy our whiskey. Slange.
Lunch.